Hi, I'm Hugh Cox. I'm with Sustainable Claremont. My wife and I share a Toyota RAV4 Prime, year 2021. So we got it just about a year ago. It's a plug-in electric, and we've been really very pleased with it. So we had a Prius before, and we wanted to move on, and we really needed something that was a little bit bigger and also could go off-road a little bit better. So this fit that need. We really wanted to get an electric, but we couldn't really find a good electric vehicle that had the capacity to go off-road and had the kind of trunk space and cargo space that we needed, and stumbled upon the RAV4, and it seemed like a great option. It's been great driving on the freeways here. The modern technology, and I don't think this is true just of the plug-ins, but it's got lane assist and all of those things, and cruise control, radar enhanced cruise control. So it's been really easy and really comfortable driving on the roads, but it's also been very solid off-road. It's got features that allow you to shift into four-wheel drive if you need to. So I felt like it could get through almost anything that we're gonna have to go through. It's not a real four-wheel drive vehicle, but we weren't really looking for that. Mostly I'd say I like everything about it. The way it handles, the comfort, kind of the safety features, the ease of charging it, the overall gas mileage, if you will, is amazing. I mean, the first 2 months that we had this, we never filled it up. And we were driving mostly locally, but we'd go on longish trips and still get really good mileage. Yeah, so this is where we plug it in. And we just use a regular 120 volt. You can get a faster charger if you want to install the equipment. But we just plug it in at night and we time it so we're doing it. We're charging when electricity rates are lower, but we can override that pretty easily if we need to charge. I think a lot of people that own hybrids or own EVs also like to obsess about their mileage. And so I do think about it. I try and maximize the mileage. It is really good for local driving. You get really good electric mileage. Longer range, higher speeds, the electric isn't quite as efficient. And so, we do think about when we're getting on the highway to drive a little bit differently or switch it into the hybrid mode. I think that's the direction that we should be going for individual vehicles. There's probably a lot more we could say about the transportation system as a whole, but to the extent that we're talking about individual automobile ownership and use, I think we really should be moving in the direction of electric. There's some limitations now as to how quickly you can recharge them and where you can recharge them. And so I think the plug-in is kind of a great in-between step. It offers sort of a little more flexibility and a little more freedom around that. Our only complaint is it's a little on the dark side inside, and so we leave our phones behind or other things like that. But really, no, it's been a great car.
Hi, my name's David Haley. I'm a resident of Claremont, California, and I drive a 2017 Nissan Leaf. We decided to go with an electric car for errands around town and just in general Southern California. We selected the Leaf because it was one of the oldest, most established electric cars on the market. And so we wanted to go with something that had been tried and true. I have to admit, after 5 years of owning it, I love it. They're great cars. Electric. If you haven't driven one, I highly suggest you go test drive one because they're really fun to drive. They're super quiet. I'm driving around and I get to look at everybody else's tailpipe and I don't have one. It's actually kind of life-altering, actually. So it's a lot quicker. In fact, I have to be a little careful on the throttle. One of the things I like about the Leaf is they have an econo mode and a brake mode so that the regenerative braking is on when you're not stepping on the accelerator. And the econo mode is a little nice because it cuts the throttle down a little bit so you don't jump off the gun. I've spun the tires a few times when the pavement's wet. I have to admit, especially with gas prices being where they're at, I'm really happy I have an electric vehicle. Through my employer, I get a discount on the charging at my work, And so it cost me about $3 for about 80 miles. The range on this is one of the smaller Leaf packages. You can get them with bigger batteries. This one has a range of about, well, when it was brand new, it had a range of about 120 miles. And we're down to about 100 miles after 5 years. And again, that depends on how you drive it, where you're driving. We have a home charger. Clipper Creek is the name of the charger. And that's been great because we've been able to just plug in at home. They do have a standard 110, the level 1 charger, which comes with every Leaf in case you need to plug into your friend's house or something like that. But that's a very slow charge. The level 2, which we have here, will charge it in about 3 to 4 hours. So that is one thing that I would say about driving an electric car, is you have to plan a little more in advance on where you're going to go and how you're going to fill up the tank, so to speak, because it does take some time. I try to avoid the level 3 charging, which is the quick chargers. Like, I can charge it in about 25 minutes from 0 to 100% about. And that might be a little generous, but it's hard on the batteries. And so I've been trying to extend the battery life for as long as I can. So I've lost about 20% of the battery capacity over 5 years. This particular car does not have the range like a Tesla. Like, this is not going to drive to San Francisco on a charge. We might make Barstow before we have to. So it is strictly a local car to the LA area, basically. And again, I think, when we bought this, I don't think they even had the larger battery versions. And so with the advances in battery technology, I think that's good, less and less of a concern. When I get a new one, I will go with a bigger battery. The 100 mile range is a little bit limiting. And really it's nominally 100 miles, but likely because of the way you're driving, especially when you're driving on the freeway, that definitely reduces your range. But I've gotten over the range anxiety. At first I was worried about driving down to Huntington Beach. But there are more and more chargers all the time, and they're getting easier and easier to find. Again, I just love how quiet they are and the acceleration. They're just fun cars to drive.
I'm Jason Needleman. I'm a Tesla driver, have been for 3 years, and I'm also a professor of political science at the University of Laverne. The main reason I selected it is because I have a long commute and it has an autopilot feature. So when you get on the freeway, you can put it in autopilot and it basically does all the work. And it makes a long commute really relaxing. In fact, it's kind of like changed my whole approach to driving because it's just comfortable to drive now. A lot of the stress is taken away. It even changes lanes. But of course, I also got it because I've always driven environmentally conscious vehicles. And so I was determined for sure. I'd previously driven a hybrid and I was determined for sure to get an electric vehicle. So you get massive acceleration. In terms of like what would be the drivetrain in a combustion engine vehicle, this is just perfectly smooth. There's no torque that has to build before the car starts to accelerate. So as soon as you hit the gas, it's just perfectly smooth in terms of how the car powers itself. In terms of the ride, if you want like a smooth ride, you have to get the Model S. This is more of a sporty ride. It's very comfortable. If you're in the front, people tell me in the back it's a little bit bumpy. I wanted to have a car that didn't burn gas and that had this autopilot feature. Some people think of it as a kind of, oh, you drive a Tesla, that confers a certain status. Honestly, like that's not, for me, the reason I got the car. In fact, I kind of don't like that because people think it marks you out as a kind of, I don't know, highbrow person, even though this car is about the same price as the car I previously drove, which was a Toyota Prius. Okay, well, one thing is, I don't know if I wish this were different, I think it's just a feature of having a battery-powered vehicle. The range of the battery diminishes over time. So initially when I got it and I would charge the car all the way, it would give me a range of 315 miles. Now the top end is down to like 280, maybe even a little bit below that. So, of course, I would prefer to have a battery that has greater range and holds a charge for a longer period of time. But I still can take it pretty much anywhere. You know, there are plenty of Tesla charging stations. I take it into the Sierras, which is a little bit risky because you have to find a place to charge. But typically I'll charge right before I go into the mountains, and then I'll kind of be careful when I'm in there, make sure I can get out to a charging station again. But of course, you know, every month new charging stations open up, and so the range on the vehicle extends. It takes a little bit of time to charge. It's probably a tiny bit less convenient than a gas-powered vehicle, especially one that gets really good mileage, but not much. I mean, you stop for 10 minutes, you charge, and you keep going. In terms of things that I like about it, well, I basically like everything about it, but I'm an easy consumer. Like, I've never been one to say like, oh, I wish my car had this feature or that feature. One thing that I do enjoy about it is that all of the controls are contained within a single screen. I think some people, that's not familiar to them, but I do like that. I always say that the Tesla is like if you had an iPhone and it like grew up to be an automobile. And you can still, I mean, you can basically control the car, many of the features through your phone, and then there's a screen there which is kind of like an extension of the phone and allows you to control every element of the car.